In this lesson, we're going to take a look at adding and subtracting polynomials. So when we have here, I have two polynomials, and I know it's addition because there's a plus in between them. So when I'm adding, it's really just combining like terms. So I want to go ahead and identify like terms here. I see I have x squared, a little thicker. I have x squared, and I have 3x squared. Remember, like terms have the same variable and the same exponent on that variable. So I have x squared plus 3x squared. And if it's just x squared, if there's no coefficient, you can put a 1 there. So I have 4x squared. I'm going to add them together. My next like terms are going to be negative 5x minus 8x. Okay, and I'm adding them together. But when I add together two negatives, it's really the same as subtracting. Negative 5 minus 8 is going to give you a negative 13x. Remember, I keep them coming down. These both have an x, so my answer there has an x. Okay, lastly, I have a positive 6 and a negative 2. 6 minus 2. Again, you can think of it as 6 plus a negative 2, or just 6 minus 2 is 4. So my final answer here is going to be 4x squared minus 13x. When it's positive, there's nothing there, plus 4. Okay, that is going to be your final answer when we're adding these two polynomials together. If you couldn't, I did some of that in my head. Feel free to use a Desmos calculator. So if you want to type in like negative 5 minus 8, there you go. There's your negative 13 there. So feel free to use that. Notice here, I knew that they matched. I knew they were like terms. Same variable, same exponent, and it came down with me for the answer. Same variable, these both have an exponent of 1, and that came down with me for the answer. And same thing here, these two are constants. They had no variables, so they were put together. Let's look at another example. This time I have subtraction. So we're going to do the same thing, except we have to do one thing first. We're going to distribute this negative first. So negative 4 becomes a positive 4x squared. And the same thing here, negative 5, two negatives when multiplied together are going to give you a positive 5x. Now, I can have my first parentheses, 9x squared minus 8. Okay, so notice here I had to change. It was because it's subtraction, you have to distribute the negative and change the sign of whatever's in your second parentheses. Your first parentheses can stay the same. It's your second parentheses that will change. So now we do the same thing we did on the last slide. I'm going to combine like terms. I have 9x squared plus 4x squared. I have 13x squared. All right, and if I look here, I have a minus 8. And then I have this, we'll do right. I have this plus 5x. They are not like terms. So when I write my answer here, I'm just going to have 13x squared. I'm going to put the 5x next because we like to go in descending order, minus 8. It doesn't matter the order, but since they're not like terms, I can't put those two together. I can only put these two together because they have an x squared, okay? So when you're combining like terms, just be careful with that. You might, just because you have an even number doesn't mean you combine everything together. They have to be like terms. Let's look at one more subtraction example. These tend to be the more difficult ones. Again, we have to distribute the negative, okay? Two negatives become a positive. Two negatives become a positive. Okay? And then I'm going to have negative x squared minus 1 in there, okay? If one of these was positive, it would become negative, okay? I know both of the examples we've looked at, we've had negatives that have become positives. Same thing that if this was a positive 2, it would be a negative. If this was a positive 4, we would have a negative there. Let's go ahead and combine like terms. I see negative x squared, and I see plus 2x squared. Notice I include the sign in front of it. Negative x squared plus 2x squared. Okay, so when there's no number there, remember that's a 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1x squared. Then I have negative 1 and plus 4. Which is going to give me 3. They both don't have an x at all, So when I write my answer, I have x squared plus 3. Notice I just wrote an x squared. You can write 1x squared. Just want to show you that that is really how you're going to see your answer written. The 1 is there to help you, but when you write it as an answer, you don't need to include that coefficient of 1. All right, go ahead and practice on your delta math.